Hey guys, what is going on? Thank you for stopping by to watch another episode here at Invest with alliseeisW, where we talk about stocks, crypto, the overall stock market, and I share with you hot company stocks that I believe have the potential for huge bull runs. Now, today I wanted to share with you one company stock that I believe has the potential to make a run in the upcoming week. We know that in the electric vehicle space, there's just been a lot more sentiment with increased investor confidence with EV actually performing in the year 2023. While we understand that 2022 in hindsight, a lot of stocks in the majority of sectors aside from oil and other sectors really took a beating, right? Now in 2023, that's not to say that EVs will not perform. I firmly believe that this year there's a lot more room for growth. We look at companies like Tesla, it's popping back up as a result of just this year alone. Now, I'll share with you my reasons why I believe Lucid, ticker LCID, has the potential to make huge runs in the upcoming weeks, specifically in the week ahead of us, right? There's going to be earnings release, and a lot of investors are going to be looking at that information and seeing what the price targets it can get to, right? And I'll share with you why I am invested in Lucid. Let's get started. Now, first off, we're looking at Lucid ticker price here, LCID. If we look at the year to date, Lucid has popped up from like the $6 at the beginning of the year, now hovering at like the threshold of like $10, $11. We know at one point several weeks back, Lucid ran all the way up close to about $18 and ended the day of trading on Friday at around $12. This is looking very healthy here when we look at just normal consolidation. So since January 30th, we see it hovering at 1150, and then here it's building a base here at the sub 10, right? And it's beginning to build that base, and most of investors of Lucid are wondering whether the next gap up will happen. As we zoom out with the 1 year range, we see overall that Lucid is down by about 60%. So there's huge potential for growth here, right? If we just scale back and look at its prior resistance, back in February, Lucid is hovering at around $30. So let's say if Lucid gets back up to its prior resistance, its 52-week range high, that's another 2x from the current share price here. So that's the potential that I believe we can see, right? If we hold on to Lucid for several months, I believe in 2023 we're looking at a huge gap up for Lucid. I'll share with you my reasons why I believe Lucid has the potential to run up to $45, $50 at a minimum in the year 2023. As we scale back 5 years range, at one point Lucid ran all the way up to $52 back in the year 2021, right? We see it happening multiple times, and at that time back in 2020 it was at the flat $9, and then it just shot up to $50 within a matter of like weeks, or like very minimal, less than a month, right? Now the question is, will Lucid have the potential to do so? We know that in the EV market, it's been just beat up. However, I firmly believe that what goes down will eventually go back up. And with the news around Saudi Arabia, public investment firm potentially buying out the stock, we haven't really heard any updates around that in terms of whether that remains true or not. But ultimately, the fact that Saudi Arabia, PIF, owns a majority of Lucid stock, the country will not let Lucid go out of business. The country will continue to stimulate Lucid with a positive return on cash flow while Lucid expands and continues to build its branding, right? We know that Lucid is expanding its production, right, on a small scale, and eventually it will exponentially increase given the fact that these manufacturing sites will be implemented all around the world, right? Lucid getting into the Asian markets, Lucid getting into Saudi Arabia, Europe, and now we see just studios all around the United States. Specifically, I've seen one in the Bay Area, and I've actually sat down in a Lucid vehicle, and it's nice to see Lucid on the freeway. I've been seeing a lot more Lucids on the road, which really helps the overall branding of this story. Now, I just wanted to share with you the overall information with Lucid here on the Wall Street Journal. So Lucid is on the NASDAQ market, right? Its average volume of shares traded is around 33 million shares traded, right? Its 52-week range here was at the sub $6 and high range of like $29, which we saw recently. And now just looking at the financials of Lucid, right? So while we see negative results specifically for earnings per share, it'll be interesting to see whether we see improvement on the earnings per share for Q4 release coming next week on Wednesday. Most people will be wondering about that. But the key thing that I am interested in is whether we continue to see an uptick in the sales or revenue. This is similar to when I was evaluating Tesla's financial results with its balance sheet, its income statement, right? Ultimately, when you are a startup company where you are in the design implementation phase, the key aspect is just making sure that you're selling your product right. Of course, in terms of profit margins, operational efficiencies, all of that will be hindered and compromised early on, right? Because you have to invest in marketing, you have to invest in building your operations scale, supply chain. So all of that takes money and it requires investments. And that's why Saudi Arabia, a public investment firm, having that backup in place, that's going to be huge. The key indicator for me, like how I saw it with Tesla when Tesla first started off, was sales revenue, right? Are you having sales? The key thing is we're seeing an uptick with the 5-quarter trend, and it will be interesting to see the rise in the sales here. And I believe that it'll be positively correlated with the amount of increase in the production volume of Lucid vehicles. So this is looking very positive. I just wanted to share this, right, in terms of total assets here, right? I mean, it's looking fairly stable here, right? Liabilities, it's looking consistent here, right? And with just the stimulus of cash that we'll get, I believe that overall the sales revenue will increase, and once the company becomes more mature, it'll then be able to focus its initiative on improving on the overall profit margins and reducing liabilities. But it's quite normal to see liabilities and profit margins not being where it's expected to be. But ultimately, next week, if we were to see an improvement in the earnings per share, this is going to look very bullish for the company Lucid, and a lot more investors, retail investors, will be interested in the company's share price. Now, I wanted to share with you a source article with institutional investors, right? So, when you want to make money really as an individual investor, you kind of just follow what the institutions are doing, right? And BlackRock is betting big on Lucid Motor stock, right? In fact, BlackRock owns about 31 million shares of Lucid as of Q4. What's interesting is that the investment firm purchased 3.27 million shares during Q4. Why? Well, because it was at a discounted price, right? And as of the year to date, as we saw earlier, Lucid's up by about 75%, but that doesn't mean that it's going to stop there, right? Now, the stock, it just ran up significantly when we heard about the speculation about Saudi Arabia, a public investment firm, wanting to buy out the rest of Lucid shares. But what's interesting is that last year, Saudi Arabia disclosed that it would purchase 50,000 Lucid Airs with the option to purchase an additional 50,000 over the next 10 years. And that the first deliveries for the first massive order will begin in Q2. So that's looking very solid. And now the deadline for institutional investors to file quarterly update has passed, giving investors insight into 13F holdings as a Q4. Now, let's take a look at BlackRock's increase in stake with Lucid. Now, it's interesting because back in Q3, BlackRock owned 28 million shares, and that it purchased 3.27 million shares of Lucid in Q4. Now, that just shows that Lucid is the firm's 1,487th largest position for BlackRock, which is huge, right? And the interesting part is that, you know, a total of 439 filers own Lucid stocks as of Q4, up from 417 filers during the prior quarter. So there's a lot more buying of Lucid from institutional investors. And not only is it for Vanguard, but we see firms like Two Sigma, Geode Capital Management, we see Cote Management, and others that has upside belief in the company Lucid. So that's just looking very solid here, right? And I just wanted to share this with you because as institutional investors are buying big on Lucid, we as individual investors should follow that trajectory and believe in the potential for the positive return on cash flow. So overall, I just wanted to share with you my insights on Lucid and why I believe just from a long-term scale, we're going to see Lucid pop up to its prior resistance of $50 in the coming months here. So there you have it. I'm bullish with Lucid. I like the story that's being told here and their quality of just delivering extraordinary vehicles. That's really going to be the game changer here with the support from other countries. So if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and leave your comments and questions down below. Thank you all.